Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we're taking a look at Aju Nice, or Very Nice, dance practice version from 17. Out of all of the songs from 17, this is the one that I have heard the most. Reason being, funnily enough, is I used to play Pump It Up a lot at your local arcade at Dave & Buster's. Shout out to DMB. I would play this track all the time. Have I seen the choreography? No, I haven't, because I played Pump It Up enough to where I could dim the background so I could see the arrows more clearly. So I haven't technically seen this choreography all the way through, and I'm very excited to take a look at it because I'm very much a fan of the song, and I think they have a couple more tracks that I really like. So this is definitely one of the ones I've been looking forward to getting to on this marathon of reacting to 17. So without further ado, let's take a look. This is really fun. Forgive my cat. Those are fun. Wow. Hey. Oh, I love that. Yep. I love the professionalism of them just being on the side. Oh, cute! Yeah. Oh, I love that. Fun. Oh, I love this. That was fun. Oh, there's still a little bit more. The amount of energy that they have is aggressive in the best way possible. That was good. That was good. Okay, bringing it back from the top. That was wonderful. I am so glad I got to witness this. I mean, I love the little excerpts, and I know we don't really get them like a ton in these, but it's really fun to see just them wilding out their outtakes prior to. I think that's really fun. Here we go, Aju Nice Dance Practice. They've upgraded. They have a really nice title work now for their introductions of their dance practices. So I can see that the visuals, I feel like because they are becoming more popular, they have more fundage to be able to present themselves in a more refined way. Also because the more modern the times get too, the more innovation you see within the presentation of the dance practices and the music videos and everything. I do know dance practices used to just be dance practices. They didn't used to be like a whole production. So I think we're getting caught in the middle of that. I think because they're considered Gen 3, right? So I think like that was when they really started elevating to the certain level that it is now, where it's its own production, choreography videos, what have you. So this whole beginning right here, that was nice because when you saw how they ended from their last video, they finished very subtle. So it's kind of nice to see a little, it's not really a continuation, but it's definitely just how they started. It feels like we're picking up where we left off, at least in the order that I'm reacting to these. So how they finished that was really nice. I love the usage of the hand to drop the body down. That was super fun. And they are making interesting choices of placing the hands and then the body responds out of where the hands go. So I think there's intentionality, which is just shout out to the choreographers of the fact that there's so many nice moments to glean from. And I think you're really setting them up for success. It's not only having great performers like this, but having great choreographers and a great team that really bring the full package so the performers can do what they do best, which is perform. So I very much like the choreography that I've loved all the choreography that I've seen before. And now I'm still very early. It's very new in the marathon of 17. I'm still about, this is probably my 4th or 5th at this point. It's still, very much it's just really cool to see, and shout out to our little dog stuffed animal is what this looks like. I think it's very cute. But I like the posture here. They have suspenders. So when you operate with a wearable prop like these, you do have the risk, which you end up seeing from a couple of them. It starts to slide depending on how tight you have it, because some people wanted a more elasticy one so you can get some of those effects off. But when you wear it too loosely, you can run into that problem. Or if your shoulders aren't as broad, you may run into that problem where it overlaps and drapes over the shoulder and you have to maneuver it to get it back to where you need it to be. So that would be my note too. That's really nice to have it da 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 da. And here we go. I'm going to say it again. Range of placement of your suspenders or your prop. So whenever you see this here, it could be because his aren't as elasticy, even though I'm assuming everybody got the same kind, his may not be as loose. Could be because of his torso length, not sure. Totally fine. This is a very subtle thing I'm making a note of as well. Notice the intention of the hands. I don't think he can drop it as far down as everybody else because this visual is very pleasing. It's symmetrical, very nice, but you do notice that not everybody is facing the same way in angle. It could be because I caught this in a transition. No, that's just how the choreography is, right? So that would just be my note, that you know, whenever you are dealing with a wearable prop, to make sure that it is registering or how it's being hit is the same on everybody, regardless of the height or regardless of the build. And that's really hard to do when you have 13 people that are completely different, right? And I think that's kind of, you know, but that makes it fun, you know. I love this where they do the actual extension of the straps and doing more of that Charleston aesthetic. We've seen that kind of variation throughout some of their other practices, so it's really nice to see it here, but it's done in a very different way because of the wearable prop they have, the suspenders. I love that. Doon, doon, hit, and then they use the hand to showcase the foot. And that was nice because when you think about your leg and your arm, the wrist would be the equivalent of the ankle of the foot, visually how we relate to them, at least for myself. So whenever you see the hand drop, seeing the foot drop matches the same level of intimate subtlety of the move. And I think that's something I like from their more complex choreo. I did just react to more of like a Disney Channel-esque one, which was really fun. But I like this in the sense of the complexity is really nicely done, well executed, but you also factor in how they're going into it. I think is slowly getting better and better compared to what we've seen in the past. And naturally, the more you work with each other, the more you're going to get that refinement where everybody's movement quality and range of execution is going to be similar. So I do like that we see that here. That little walk, it kind of felt like a thief, you know, like a little awkward walk, but I really love that transition. It's fun. And the way that they chose to feature their next guy was really fun. Now, something I noticed here is normally they're doing something when they're in the camera shot, they are doing something, interacting, being extras. But this is honestly the first time I'm seeing them, at least in this marathon, where they are still. But how they're holding it is very specific. And I love it because it reads very professional, where they know we can't really go out of frame here because we're needed to come into frame, and it'll be awkward to go from behind the camera into the light. So it's better to just be still, let them do what they need to do, and then come on whenever we're ready. And that even turned into a really nice formation visual that we saw later on in this. So this is the first time for me that I'm seeing this. I do like it because it is different and it matches the aesthetic of the track very much so. And then, oh, I have my marker on. That's why I wasn't playing. Okay. That energy, that pop-up, how they chose to jump, it goes back to they are young and spry in this. Bless it. Very subtle here. Love that. Where you have a huge energy that pops up on the side and they're really small. And that Ranajam is really what that type of glide work of the foot would be called. They're going around. And there's the little heel toes. I love that. Where everybody's facing different angles. So it's just a really nice subtlety or people's choice of the foot to kind of create that nice subtlety on the side. And not everybody's doing the same foot. Half of them are doing the left and half are doing the right. Transition over. Really great choice to have one person in the center. Everybody framing on the upper part. My feature right there in the center, but down and lower. Everybody else, it is even symmetrical over here. I love that, where they're still not doing anything. I love that da-da-da, probably wordplay right there. Love it. Great. Matched the rhythm pattern well. That was fun. I bet those hurt. If you like really pop it, that's gonna probably hurt. So I could see some of more the more reservation on some of them, where they're like letting it go because maybe they've gotten hurt before. That doesn't matter. But I'm just saying that it's definitely a riskier prop to operate out of, because once you hit it here, the more you pull it, the more likely it's gonna shift off the shoulders. And we do see that from a couple of them in the course. I love that. No, but you have your feature there on the side, on the right side. Nice and tall. Everybody else is facing the back, and that looks really, really nice. This right here is super fun. You have your feature walk away. Totally fine. But what I really like about it is like very not militant, but more stiffer in the grooves here, which is very nice. And it matched the music. And they're very, everyone's on the same page in how they're executing it. So it's not like one person is stiff and everybody else is super groovy in it. It's everybody made the choice to hit it in this way. Could be choreographic or could be when they're in the rehearsal space cleaning. That was what was going to be more beneficial to the group. And so I really like the choice that they made. It's more subtle. We know they can pop off and be very extroverted and more on the groovier side, but I really do like the choice that was here, where because you have that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, very quick on the rhythm beat patterns, having and going about doing footwork, that was a really great choice to kind of doing those ball change variations. I really like that. That right there, nice. And it just feels very nice, you know, and I think that's what they wanted to go with. Nice, boom, 3, 4. I just think it's fun. And that one built really well. You did 4 pelvic thrusts, right? I think 4. 1, 2, look, 3, and ha! Like it just, they built it versus keeping it the exact same. And that's something that they have a really good grounding to do. They know how to take information and elevate it to make it appear it's polyrhythmic, you know, their intention and mentality is polyrhythmic. And that's what makes even the subtle things very captivating to watch, because they're not just thinking about the movement as movement, they're thinking about it in the context of how it frames with the other movements they've already done. Love that texture shift where you go da-da, boom, super smooth, and then they immediately go into something super stiff. Now, this is where you notice our beautiful suspenders start to get a little loose. You can tell he's trying to fix it. And he's not the only one either. We have another guy on the same shoulder. His is also loose. And that's just what happens sometimes. And it's also kudos to them for being able to fix it when they need to. Or I love that the choreography, shout out to the choreographer, they either got lucky or they thought about it. When you have your arm up like that, it naturally resets your suspender or gets it to where it's easier to maneuver it back to its spot, because just like it slid down, when you do movements that kind of promote it to slide down, you can do movements that the opposite effect will take place. I think that was a really good choice where everybody will still look clean in the suspenders even if they were popping off during the course. So that was really smart. And look at that. Did you see how smooth he was? I'm gonna dial it back so you can see it. He was so smooth in putting that suspender back on. Look, he has it, and he goes and he, nice. I love that da-da-da-da-da. It builds it up, and because his tone slightly raises, it's really nice how they chose to raise that nuance as well. It's super fun too. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, this is one of the first times I'm not really focusing on the features or how the features are being transitioned in and out like I am about the content itself. I'm really liking the content because it's taking more of the forefront, and our features kind of have a typical structure in how they're going about featuring themselves. You know, it's really nice. They come out, they have a moment, collaborative, very reactionary. Love that. Something I think is so special about 17, that so far pretty much everybody is very committed to the characters when they are asked to play them, and I think it's very fun. So, you know, now it's elevated from 1 feature to 2, now dialing through. That right there, they pop off on that bass, and you hear that the rest of the verse, it's like it kind of drops out at the beginning of the verse. Da 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 da, maja. Then it's still a little bit there. Da 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 da, maja. Boom, and then you hear way more percussion comes in. More layers are starting to be integrated right in this section here, and they integrated it. Usage of the chest, do it in the chest bop. You just see the energy, and they also kind of hype each other up too in certain parts because it probably feels very exhausting. Love that he chose to do a high jump to transition over. Really smart, because they were all energy-wise pushing back, so his opposition promoted us to want to look at him as the feature. Love that too, what they chose to do where they kind of have this opposition, but it's not like a loosey-goosey opposition. It's more like a swing, right? Or like a seesaw almost. And then they chose to bring it around. So it has a funk aesthetic to it, but more like how locking is to funk. It has that kind of posture, that kind of lock-in position, pose-esque. I'm not saying what they're doing is locking. Not really. I haven't seen a lot of locking in this, really barely any. But I'm saying how they're holding themselves. It really helps carry that type of posture into play here. And I'm very much enjoying of that, because it's the first time I'm saying that from everything I've seen from them so far. And because we're about 4 or 5 in, it's really nice to know that their discography, goodness, I cannot speak today. Their discography has shown such versatility, which you guys have already told me about, so I was already prepared for that. It is really nice to see that naturally come into fruition as I watch these. So That right there, that ha into the drop, very impressive. I love that. Having our previous feature kind of still be maintaining the level. This goes back to the small, medium, large that I've said before. The medium really helps bridge the gap between the small and the large of cups, right? So here, when you see he is not so stagnantly tall or higher in level than these guys are, because we have the integration of the mid-level. And I really love that all three are represented, and it's not just our top and our bottom. It just can feel a little bit too stagnant, so it's nice to have that variety like what I just mentioned. Super, super fun. And they have, mind you, great depth and great space utilization. The fact that I can take my marker really anywhere, and this is really my only gap where I don't have anybody, is still pretty impressive. Love that too. Where you still have those communal tones in the back, but it's still a feature. It's just a really nice visual version of how the feature sound is on the track. Because when you have your feature, he is supported by other vocals, but the vocals are supported. So they're supporting him by transitioning, but not being in the main level like he is. That was really fun choice that they chose to do there. So I said this in the last video, and I think this is a choreography fingerprint. This is probably something that they have started to do. I said this already, but I'll say it here. Sometimes, depending on wordplay or depending on when these things come out, that right there, that was in their pretty, it was the one with the couch. They did that as one of their choreographies. Yeah, Buddha, that one. And we're seeing it here. No, it is not a recycling choreo. It's we're referencing fingerprints of things that we've done in the past and concepts we've done in the past. And there's kind of like a little Easter egg for fans and for them to find. I love that. And for me as a choreographer myself, and I work with some students for, on average, around 5 to 7 years before they graduate, based on the age that they typically start training in the styles that I teach. So I will say that when you work with a group for a long time, or you're working with the same group of people for a long time, those types of ideas really help maintain the relationship between you as a choreographer and those who you're setting choreography for. I would do stuff like that with certain dancers, especially if they were a soloist of mine for many years. So I had a soloist who I worked with her for about 6 years, and each year we would have some fingerprint of something that she did before, but an elevated version of it, whether it's wordplay or this, that, or the other. And it would make us feel like we have a connection, or that we're respecting the time that we spent in that concept, but we're integrating it here and showing an elevated version of that. So from an empathetic stance, if that is the case, I absolutely love it, because it really, as a human, it's really nice to have those moments, because you're going to remember those things about your choreo. Not so much, I mean, also about like how hard it is, or how winded you got, or wow, I really enjoyed my time on stage, but those little pockets really help you feel like you're more invested in it. And I love that. This was super, super chic, how they just chose to blend that up. That was really, really nice. Blend that up, bleed that up. Oh, goodness gracious. And they have these little instances too where they have the two of them, and they're kind of just interacting in some way, and everybody else is setting up in the background. I think that's always a really great option to do. I love that. We've already seen that, but instead of having just a small group, we have everybody with our 2 people circling to the back. Really fun. Now it's everybody, but you do notice that more people are catering more towards the left side. So if I were to give a note, it would be to have more people near the back end, kind of tailor more towards the right side based on the frame. Love that. So you had your 2 features circle around the back, and then now you have a new feature, but they ended up filling up this back end space because everybody else is filling up the front half. I love that. Great transitions, very mindful of where they are in the space. Very fun. Now everyone's doing it. Some of them are doing a more like dainty approach, and some of them are just going for it. I love that. I love that, where he goes, kicks it. That was super fun because it's different than what you would normally expect, because that part you would have them go nice 2 3 4 da 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 da, but they go kick back, kick back, kick back, and just the energy has been elevated because of how they're choosing to approach with their torso forward and counterbalance and in counter resistance to their leg hitting in the back. And then it goes over here. So I would say out of all of the sequences, this one I would say was not as clean as some of their other ones are. The reason why I say that is because when you go over, not everybody's angle that they're kicking is not the same, and that's okay. Also, their legs, it's a triple. So you have some people that are hitting it a particular way, and some of them you can just tell based on where their knees are whether or not they are hitting the same amount and what part of the music they're trying to hit as well in their countage. It's tricky to do, but then they link it back up together, making sure they're all on the same angle. I will say he is slightly more facing front with this upper body, or at least with how he's angling with his feet. His knees are more facing towards the front, and everybody else is just more to the diagonal. Very subtle formation nuances that could be adjusted. But whenever you do a circular jump like that and how you land, that's still pretty dang close. Like, that's great. I like it right there. Get him, get him, get him. Yeah, like it just matches that aesthetic of the first course, but it's just very different in how they're choosing to hit the tamper. I love it. That too, instead of sliding, they're choosing to keep it stationary but kind of rotate it, and they're keeping the dynamic there, and I love that. Up there it is. Now it's the other side. So look, and notice his arms came up and it was able to fix back in place, but it's still hanging out there. I love the professionalism that they're not trying to fix it in obvious ways. They're being very subtle in how they're doing it. This right here, boom, boom, just really nice, super chill. I would say this is probably one of the most chill little bits that we've seen. They're all there. They walk and they line up, get in their respective order, and they're just kind of standing there. You had your feature moment in the center, and then you had your next feature going forward. This is one of the most typical K-pop feature variations that I think we've seen from them, you know? And honestly, the fact that I've watched so much at this point, still not a ton in comparison to a lot of other people, but I've seen enough to know that the fact that it took me this long to see like a very typical formation choice, it just shows you the creativity of the entire team involved with this group. Not just the group, but the choreographers, those who are in charge of the visuals, the props, all of that. It's very impressive. And even here, it's totally fine because how he's choosing to engage as a feature is when he's pulling on that strap, he's still engaging you here. And they're not doing anything that's taking away from what's happening here because of analyzing the full picture as the choreography. That's why I'm touching on what they're doing. But a regular spectator would really just focus on what he's doing, and he's doing his job effectively. This is so freaking cute. I think this was a really great way to get everybody back on stage. It's just very simple group, but look how symmetrical it is. It's a chef's kiss. This is the beauty of having an odd numbered group. You have one person as your feature here. Everybody is evenly distributed on the sides. So it's this beautiful, look how cute. It just looks cute. You know, it feels like that emoji. If you see how my marking looks, like it's cute. And then he joins in, then you have somebody else who is your feature come in to incorporate him back into the formation. Absolutely love that. Then from there, noticing that everybody joins in on just a very simple nuance, kind of doing your own thing there, and then moving on. That right there, da 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 da, very fun, super subtle. Everybody's dropped low. That was nice. So everybody chose to do that that shifting of the. I just shook my table while I was doing it. Sorry. So shaking the leg to kind of get them to sound like the sound was sucked out of the room. They sucked it up into their body. Love it. He's the only one facing front. That's how you're able to get away with that. He's facing front. Everybody else is committing to facing away. And that's why he was easier to spot, even though they're all on the same level. That was great. And then he's the only one, natural, because everybody faced front now. Okay, he can't be our feature. It's hard to find him as our feature because he didn't do anything. But he did something that made him an outlier, so we naturally want to watch him. And because he was super close to him, our eyesight peripherals picked up on him doing that. So that's why we caught him doing that. Then from here, love that. They go bum bum, and they just hit it because it matches similarly to the type of aesthetic they've already done in the first course. And then we're back to this other feature because he's the only one who broke character from the natural movements that everyone's doing. And he gets right back into it on the triple. Doom, doom, doom. Super fun. Now we're back to the chorus. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. And they're choosing to move the shoulders, not just up and down, but shifting it across the plane and then elevating the shoulders. So that's why it feels like there's more depths versus just, it doesn't feel two-dimensional. It feels three-dimensional. I love that. Now we're back to the choreo that we've seen from the first course. Oh, here we go. Look at that. There. And we're seeing it again. My guy right here, I think he needed to tighten his up because I think every time I've seen him do this course, all the courses, his have come loose. It's the first time I'm seeing his come loose, but it could be because of his positioning. I didn't even catch it the first time. Very slow, very tense, and then he joins right back in. I want you to take note because everybody's dancing. It's really important. I think it's great that they're doing that because if you hear, it sounds like all of them are singing, right? And I think that's the case. So everybody dancing makes the most natural sense on a musicality standpoint because if you're the physical and visual representation of your track and everybody's on the track at the same time, meaning that they're vocalizing at the same time, surely you would want all of them involved in the physical recreation or representation or reincarnation of the track itself as a visual representation, right? So I think that was a really great call. I know sometimes it sounds like common sense, but you would be surprised at how many people don't. And I'm not talking about K-pop. I'm just talking about in general. Choreographically, they have a solo and then the track is a whole choral, like chorus. And it just doesn't quite hit the same mark because the soloist can't match the tonal presence or the emotional impact and saturation the track brings because of the sheer number of voices. But they have done a great job of emulating that naturally because they're all singing, so naturally they should all be dancing, would be my thing, or they're all still. They're all collaborating at the same time. You see what I mean? Like it just feels very satisfying because they're all singing in unison, so them dancing in unison makes the most sense. This is very, very practical and very well done, and they're very clean too. You know, you still have some people, you can kind of tell that some people say it a little bit differently. They're dancing a little bit differently, and that's fine. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Da 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 da. So they're polyrhythmic in matching the rhythm of their tone, not so much on the backbeat as much. They normally hit that near the tail end. That was really fun. I love this. I remember seeing this. I saw this from Street Man Fighter, Weedham Boys, and the Cheers Challenge. I saw something like this, but it's not the same thing. I'm not saying that one bit the other or this, that, or the other, but that looks very familiar, and I think this came out before Weedham Boys did it on Cheers. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that I do notice that. I am referencing that, but remember, I'm living in 2023 watching something from like 2016, 2017, so I understand that. I love the bow there. That was really fun. How he's still in the forefront, but he's saying, okay, I'm finished, you know, and now they're all bowing here at the end. Look, his thing is still loose. Oh, bless it. He just cannot keep that thing. I love that. That's really tricky to get the ticking into your wave done well like that. But then you have everybody's straps. I love that. That was really fun. It's really hard to get that kind of complexity done that seamless. It was nice. Oh, they're going bass, 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 and then do. So they are writing different parts of their music. If you really listen to what they're trying to hit, bass and do. So they're not hitting the same thing, even though it feels like they are. That do. So the first half of it, they were hitting that doom, 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 doom. But because of the transitions, it made it feel like they were hitting on the da 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 da. But then the last half, they were going on the da 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 da. A+ for me. Love it. They finish it out, and then they are done. And then they all fall to the ground. They're like, thank God we're finished. And I would understand that as well. That was very nice. Get it? I did not mean to do that, but I'm gonna just say I did. That was very nice. And I think the song's track title is very fitting for the type of choreography that we just watched. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm having an absolute blast walking through all of these choreographies from 17. I'm definitely feeling like I'm being exposed to so many different concepts, sub-concepts from this group, and because they're so great at performing and presenting a character, it's very enjoyable for me to glean different aspects of each routine that they bring. And it's not just 17, it's probably all the choreographers involved. It really takes a village to really bring about consistency within just an overall group's performance and support, and the fan base too would also bring a great level of support for them to keep being able to do this. Because remember, a lot of groups may be forced into certain concepts. I'm not saying them, but I'm saying in general in K-pop, right? If that concept makes the group money, the production companies sometimes will be like, you guys have to stay in that concept because we have to keep making money and your other concepts didn't work. So it just shows that the fan base is very strong and accepting of different concepts from them, as well as the fact that their company is, they put enough faith, I guess, or they just got very fortunate with the concept they're going with, because it feels very natural in a great way to kind of see how we're going about seeing them grow and develop as humans and as dancers and as performers, and I very much like it, and I cannot wait to get into this. Just keep going and pressing on and chugging along, because I still got a long way to go. If you're taking a peek, I'm at this point I'm on number 4 out of 50 on my playlist, so I mean, I know I got a long way to go, but I'm definitely enjoying the ride so far. I'm Jess. If you want to see more content, aka more K-pop, more 17, you can hang out on YouTube, but all the 17 stuff's going to be on Patreon way before it makes its way to YouTube. So if you're starting to see these, there's a good chance on YouTube it's already out on Patreon. So I would heavily consider going and checking that out. I got a ton of early release content that will never make its way here, but it'll stay on Patreon due to copyright, obviously. We got so much of that offered there. Thank you guys again, and I will catch you on the flip side.